During this section, we're going to talk about modifying our Excel worksheet, modifying the spreadsheet that we have here. We'll also talk a little bit about modifying the workbook structure itself, such as adding and deleting worksheets within the workbook. So first, let's talk a little bit about moving and copying content. First, let's talk about moving, or cutting and replacing content, or moving it to some other location. So as an example here, I've got my little spreadsheet. It starts up inside of A1, goes down to A14, and the last cell there on the right is F14. So from A1 down to F14. Now what I like to do here is I want to take that content and I want to move it over one column and maybe down one row. So I want it to start inside of B2 and end inside of G15. Just really over one column, down one row. Maybe for formatting purposes, I want a nice border around it. I don't want it stuck right up there inside the corner, right? For whatever, presentation purposes or whatever reason, I need to move this content. Well, Excel has actually made this really easy to do, and you got a couple of methods. Here's one of them. I can select that range. I'm just going to start inside A1, left click and drag down just to highlight all of that content from A1 down to F14. Now, I can take my cursor, and if I move to the border, either that right border or the bottom border, doesn't matter. See how my cursor changes from that big plus sign to a four-headed arrow? When I find that edge, that four-headed arrow, I can left click, hold down, and I can drag this to a new location. See that? I'll move it right into B2. So now I'm going to start at B2. I'm going to end at G15. So I can move my content. Now that's great, but what if you want to move it to a completely new workbook or a completely new worksheet? Or I just want to move a portion of it. Like maybe I want to move this 200 someplace else, right? You can still do the same thing. I can still move my cursor to the edge and I can drag that out. No problem. I'm going to Control Z to undo that. You also have the option for cut and paste, right? You've probably used this in Excel, maybe used it in other applications. If I highlight that data, I'm just going to grab it all again. On my keyboard, I'm going to use the shortcut key. I'm going to cut this out. So I'm going to do Control X. Control X will be cut. I can also find the cut command on the Home tab inside of the clipboard section. Looks like a little pair of scissors. That'll be your cut command as well. Control X or Home, clipboard, use the little scissors. That'll cut it out as well. So now I know it's cut out because it's got the little marching ants floating around it. So now if I go someplace else, like I'm going to move over here to the I column, I can then paste it in. Control V, V like Victor, will paste it in. And I've now moved it from one location to another. Let's go ahead and just drag that back. Boop, right there. You've also got the paste command up above. Once you cut something out, the paste option will become active and you can then paste it back in. Now I mentioned, well, that's great and I can move stuff around within a single worksheet, but what if it's a completely new workbook or it's a completely new worksheet? Well, if I move down to my little plus sign here, just down here at the bottom of my screen, and if you're on an earlier version, if you're on 2007 or something earlier, it's not going to be a plus sign, but you actually get a little icon that shows up right next door. Looks kind of like a little sun looking thing. It's kind of yellow, orangey looking. That'll be your new sheet button as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and insert a new sheet. I get sheet 2. Great. So now let's say I want to move this to the other sheet. Or maybe I want to create a copy of it and copy paste that to the other sheet. Well, we know how to cut. I can do Control X, take that, go to sheet 2, Control, I want to paste it in. Control V like Victor, and I could paste it in. I've now removed it, moved it from sheet 1 and put it on sheet 2. Let's go ahead and undo that. Control Z. Now it should be back on sheet 1. I'm going to hit my escape key. This will remove the marching ants, the little marquee. So that was a cut and paste. But what if I just want to copy it? Because now I want to do next year's budget, right? Or next week's numbers or next month's numbers, and I want to separate those from sheet to sheet. Well, I've got a new sheet. I can highlight the data I want. Control-C for copy. I'll copy that. Go to sheet 2, and I just want a single cell, and Control-V to paste right there. So now I got it on both sheets. They're two independent sets of data. They're no longer linked to one another. They don't update one another. They are two completely sets of data. You can cut and paste. You can copy and paste, add a new sheet. We could do this on completely different workbooks. I could go File, New, create a new Excel document, and I can cut and paste between the different Excel documents as well. So you've probably done this maybe inside of Excel, probably in other applications for sure. Cut and paste, copy, paste, same operations. Control-C, copy, Control-X, cut, Control-V, paste. And you've got all your commands up there at the top of your screen as well on the Home tab underneath the clipboard. So try this out. Even if you've done it before, get an idea working with it inside of Excel, move between sheets, cut and paste between sheets. And then in the end, because I really just want the one sheet, let's make sure you get back to sheet 1 and your data is there. I'll hit my escape key just to wipe out the marquee. And let's make sure your data is sitting there inside of sheet 1. All right, you keep sheet 2 there if you'd like to. We'll talk about deleting sheets here in just a little bit. But really, cut and paste, copy, paste, call it done.